gold, the sun again shines brightly. So it is God's intelligence we are using, God's dynamism that we are alive, God's coherence that we can express, we can communicate, we can understand. So God is already there, we are getting His benefits in small measure. We are only trying to get it in a greater measure. Satisfying.
Absolutely, this is the difference between intellect and wisdom, and the earnestness with which you have presented the case, it certainly touched me. What I understood, please correct me if I'm wrong, is that we cannot do multitasking because of the impurities and the negative thinking, and probably we worry too much, I do, about whether all the tasks will be accomplished to our satisfaction. So instead of focusing on the anxiety, perhaps we should focus on the solution. This was a living example for me because I was focused on the handouts. Okay, and that means always going into the future, not remaining in the present moment. The task at hand was listening to you. Total listening was not happening. So your teacher is guilty, and I stand before you to give an example. Let it serve as an example to you that we are all guilty of not being totally there in the present moment, and probably we go into the future and worry. And if we didn't do that, as you said, as you were talking, I realized if that particular consciousness can take care of the whole universe, that is multitasking, all right. And if that is happening, we also have it within us, as you said. The clouds have to clear, and then the sun will shine, and we get all the energy in the world to handle this multitasking. Is that what you meant?
Yes.
Yeah.
And ideas, most important, we need ideas. Ideas will come. Whatever you are trying to undertake, you will get ideas, and these ideas need not be from the books, from any of your friends or circles with whom you are interacting. It will all come from within. You can make use of the information that you have outside, but how to really make use of it, to make it creative, to make it different, so you stand out. And this is the entire aim, that you don't have to copy, you don't have to be a clone, you have to be original, and that original thing will come from within.
I also would like to appreciate this wonderful diagram, it has simplified the whole issue so beautifully, that it's the mental layer which has to be cleansed. And of course it's a complicated business, because the monkey mind, when you actually sit down to meditate, you realize how many thoughts bombard you and everything rises. One has been at it for some years and has not made much headway, but as you said, one should not focus on the result either. Thank you so much for that very, very beautiful presentation. Any other questions? Louisa ma'am.
I'd like to say that what we see as a teacher, from teacher's perspective, that students are so addicted to mobiles. While we are eating or lots of it, when they are in the class, we always feel that, someone holds this lecture, certainly helps them to know that where they should have their focus be, as when the lecture totally get engrossed, so they detach themselves from such things.
No, the more they hear such talks, the more it will be drilled into them what is good for them. And without being told, I am sure they will follow what is required of them, because I am sure each one wants to do the best he or she can do, what is the potential. And when the creativity starts coming from within, then you will know that it is such a beautiful feeling, more than all this social networking that happens with the phones and your computers and all that. That is entertaining, no doubt. but it is temporary, and after some time you get fed up of it. And then you realize how futile it has been and what a waste of time. If these creativity and new ideas, new dynamism, and that inspiration comes from within, you will find that there is so much to do besides improving yourself. Because it's going hand in hand. You improve, you get ideas, you get dynamism. The more you get, the more you improve. So if you allow yourself, you're not only a birthright, you deserve it. You deserve to come to your best potential, highest potential, and I can tell you it is worth trying because you are made for that. Your whole body and mind has been designed by God to reach to excellence and further excellence. And all of you should realize that youth is a very important phase of life. I, at my age, can't do half the things which you all can do. You can grasp so many things. All of you are masters of cell phone, masters of computers, where we have to yet only struggle to know the few commands and few functions. Whereas you can learn it just within a jiffy. So, because of youth. Youth has a lot of advantage. Don't let it go waste. Be more constructive. You will enjoy the creativity, the inspiration that comes from within. At that time, don't be lazy that I'll do it tomorrow. Don't do it. Do it immediately. You get an idea, even if it means sitting up at night, suddenly getting up and jotting down whatever the brain wave or some idea that has come. It will help you, and you will see the difference, what joy it brings. So as I said right in the beginning, don't waste this thing. It's a very, very precious thing you have, this thing called youth. And you have so many facilities to make use of it. Technology, fantastic, it is magic. Again, you can waste it by social networking or do something creative. You've got access to the world wisdom, the world data. Make it.
Actually, I would like to welcome among us a former faculty, that is the head of the Marathi department, Professor Meena Gokhale. She had a question, then she said I'll ask it later, but I won't let her go because she always asks wonderful questions. May I request you to come up with your question? Yeah. And by the way, Deepaji is a graduate, she's a BSc, so though she says she doesn't understand technology, let me tell you that she has a very scientific background. Yeah. Okay, please.
I congratulate all my colleagues who have started this center. Only one question is in my mind. Earlier, I taught Marathi here for 34 years and in 2007 I took voluntary retirement. Earlier, it was taken for granted that whatever education you are taking, I think you can be able to hear me. Whatever education you are
Teachers pro.
whatever education you are taking, you are doing any subject, it was taken for granted that some kind of value education will be implied. Now value education is a separate subject in schools also. So now there is a need for such centers because the entire parameters of education and everything has changed. So ultimately, whatever we are talking is related to the change in the values, change in the value system. So I just wanted to have your comment on this. I mean, what is the relation between spirituality and values? That was my question. And another thing I have found that now in the elite upper middle class circles, now it has become a fashion to say that we are not religious, but we are spiritual. And they are not neither religious nor spiritual. Many times I found they are very communal. Nobody says that I am a communal. So, I mean, all these shades between revivalism, communalism, spiritualism, I mean, we should, as students also, they should be very, cautious about it. And I think that the center also has that responsibility, that they should take some stand regarding all the various shades. Because I am a spiritual, okay, but then I may be a revivalist, I may be some anti-other religions or something like that. So it's a very delicate thing that I just wanted to see.
See, first about the family values in general. To have such centers or not, definitely it is the need, because like in the olden days, everyone had to walk to school, walk to the doctor, or to walk everywhere. Now you have to specially go for a walk. You have gymnasiums to do your exercise. So that is changing way of life, and the society is providing you with such facilities. Same way these centers are required now, because the entire atmosphere has become cosmopolitan. So people are giving up their old values in the hope and in the pursuit of new values, which is neither here nor there. Because the present values are totally different to the old values. The regard and the respect for parents, for education, for that type of life is not there. Because each one thinks parents or students are equal. Because they are more educated, they are more technology savvy, they know much more about life than their parents. Naturally they say, oh, you don't know anything, you know better. That attitude then spills over into everything. In many ways they are right, because so many times we learn from youngsters. But nowadays parents also don't have the time to inculcate in the children, because they are all struggling to carve out a living. There is no energy to come home and talk of certain things, because there is already the TV on. TV is very informative, very educative, but it also is a waste of time. And because the waste of time is more entertaining, more appealing than someone telling them that this is the fact of life, this is the way you have to behave, naturally everyone wants to follow the entertainment side of it. Then you need centers like that, because there has to be someone bring the youth, expose them to the ancient wisdom and certain wisdom to better their life. So that is bound to happen, and maybe after this is a passing phase, and even the scientists are slowly coming to ancient wisdom. A lot of Western scientists, thinkers are reverting to the Indian wisdom, and they are doing a lot of research. And once the Westerners accept Indians, not on their own, only when the Westerners do it. Otherwise, maybe because of the Western culture, Western influence over us, we tend to deride our ancient values, our ancient wisdom. It seems old-fashioned, impossible to follow. But we read quite a lot, we meet a lot of foreigners who come. The respect they have for our culture, our ancient wisdom, knowledge is profound. We feel ashamed that we don't know half as much as they know about Sanskrit, about, and I'm sorry to say your university also says no need for Sanskrit, no need for this, no need for that. The education department also is at fault because they are only concentrating on Western philosophy, Western things, and they are not giving equal importance to our ancient wisdom. So that is the changing days, and we cannot avoid it unless someone really becomes a neta and brings about that change. And what was your second question?
Religious and spiritual and
Spiritual and a religion. In a religion, actually, according to me, religion is a way of worship. Different communities, different faiths, all say the same thing, that there is one God. But the way of worship is different. So the differences have come. You are different to us, we are superior, you are things like that. But otherwise they are all having some sort of disciplines and some sort of rituals and some certain idea that it has to be like that, it has to be like that. That is a religion. And also it brings in the form. Indian philosophy, Indian religion is really into idols, into form worship, because they have realized abstract God like energy, power are difficult to concentrate or visualize. So the various gods are different representations. Like the creative side of God is Brahma. That aspect of God which governs the whole universe is Vishnu. Now Vishnu without prodigality is useless. So the prodigality effect is Lakshmi, exuberance, abundance, that is Lakshmi. Brahma without knowledge, Saraswati. He couldn't have made such a beautiful universe. So these gods and these deities are not useless. They are different aspects of the same formless God. Whatever is not required, whatever like a gardener pruning is Shiva. And Shiva is not someone who is doing it haphazardly. He knows what to prune out, what to. So galaxies disappear, new galaxies are formed. So what is that? It is not out of nothing. There is some power behind it. So that is Shakti. So these gods have a name, they have a purpose, they are all doing the task of the same one primordial God. Religion is when you follow a particular type of religion, rituals, tenets, there's some discipline, there is some sort of bodily form of worship. What is philosophy? Philosophy is believing in certain concepts. You need not do any ritual. You need not follow any discipline. You are just mentally thinking, okay, this is that, this is this. That is where philosophy is concerned. Now, the difference difference comes in when the ego comes off about God and spirituality. My God is superior to your God. My method of worshipping is better than your God. All these things when they come, that is when the violence, hatred comes. Otherwise it's all the same. All the religions basically talk of the same thing. But it is the people in authority, they misinterpret, misconceive the whole thing. I think the more the people, the more the ideas. So that you cannot avoid. Somebody else?
Anyone else? Mahavir, he's from the computer department, faculty, yes.
I would like to know what is the relation between self-realization and chakra jagruti and sushumna.
Chakra Jagruti and Sushumna and all are paths to enlightenment. What is enlightenment? Is the middle layer is removed, the blue layer, and you can directly experience, feel and see with your transcendental eyes the divine. That is enlightenment. Now body also plays a lot of part in this development. So our bodies have chakras and they have spiritual energy which passes through certain channels. The channel is at Sushumna Nadi. When that energy rises and comes to the Sahasrara, then enlightenment takes place. So as the person improves spiritually, the spiritual energy is rising through this channel. So these chakras and the nadis, they are the path for enlightenment.
This is Amiji Gore.
I'm just continuing with what he was saying. I've been training in martial zen from about 8 years. Martial zen. It's a way of meditation from last 8 years where we have been manifesting chi, which is actually 2 inches below our belly button, to how to actually control the flow of chi in your body. What you were talking about, enlightening your chakras. But then the problem is that we are able to manifest pain, we are able to endure any kind of body-related pain, or you can throw yourself to any kind of extreme sport. But when it comes to thought, how to control the flow of thought is what is a major problem. That is still not being achieved. Like ma'am had asked about multitasking, and we are I'll just talk from the side of the students also. When you are talking about multitasking, the problem is not these students can do all the tasks, but the deadlines are there. How to follow the deadline, complete the task in a given time is a major problem. And as we know that we cannot manage time, no matter how much time management workshop we attend, no one can manage time. Time flows. We have to manage ourselves to actually come up to that level. So that's the problem. The balance, maintaining the balance is a major issue. Like how to attain that balance is a problem.
So there are 2 things I can think of. That maybe the faculty is expecting a lot more from the students. And also we are talking of spiritual growth, not actual physical doing things. In spirituality, you cannot set a time limit that within this time your chakra, this chakra has to be activated and this energy has to reach here. That much of freedom is given that in your own speed, in your own way, you can improve yourself. Now, as far as the day-to-day things and multitasking is concerned, you cannot set a general expected excellence from people. All are not capable of delivering the same way. They have to be trained, and from what I hear about the education system, sorry to say, but they are failing. So it is not exactly the students' fault. Also, technology is changing so fast. It's jumping absolutely day to day. So to keep abreast of everything, unless you are yourself a technician, it is difficult to cope up. So, although the children are expected to do a little in technology, a little in sports, a little in management, a little everything, first of all, the college and the university should make it more interesting for students. I am told half the students are never attending the classes because they are so boring. The teachers, when they talk, they can't be heard. And I know because I have been a student, and teachers who could speak well, students love those subjects and they excel in those subjects. The boring teachers, those subjects were always dismissed by students. So, this is not the students' alone fault. It is the entire system is like that. It is no use blaming a particular school, particular college, particular teacher. The system is like that. So to expect excellence in every field from everyone is, I'm afraid, a little expecting too much.